Hey there YouTube. So in this video I wanted to talk about the Florida LLC and why it might not be the best choice for you. Now if you live and work in Florida and you're looking to set up a Florida business, you probably need a Florida LLC, but we'll get into the reasons why you might want to explore maybe a tiered LLC structure for liability protection reasons, anonymity. Just setting up a bare bones Florida LLC can have its drawbacks. So I want to talk about the two biggest reasons why a standalone Florida LLC might not be the best option for you. So the first one is Florida operates a public database of all of its entities and who are the owners, the managers, and it includes names and addresses. Okay. Now, this is unique to Florida. There's only a handful of states that actually provide this much information. Some states, like Delaware, Wyoming, Nevada, they keep all that information either completely confidential or they don't even collect it. Delaware, for example, when you launch a Delaware entity, you don't have to provide any ownership information, right? You just file a certificate of organization with the state. They launch the entity. The only information you give them are who is the registered agent. And then when you file your annual Delaware report, you pay the $300 fixed fee. There's no information that's disclosed. So there's no database that shows that you own the entity, at least not a public one. Obviously, you have internal documentation to show that you own and run the company, but that's not in the public database. So if you're interested in anonymity, Florida is not going to be great. Now, one option you can do to get around that, and it's a very popular structure, is you use a 2 LLC holding company structure where you have your Florida LLC, but that's owned 100% by, let's say, a Delaware entity or a Wyoming LLC. So you still get the pass-through structure, you still own everything collectively, right? Beneficially, you're the owner. But in the public database in Florida, the owner is shown as being this Wyoming entity or a Delaware entity. And so you use that entity name, that entity address, and your name stays off the public record, right? So that's one workaround that's very popular in trying to provide some sort of privacy protection if you need a Florida entity. The other big one with Florida, and this applies to a lot of states, is Florida LLCs obviously provide you some good liability protection, but if it's an LLC with only one owner, right? So this is a single member LLC, and this is a single member LLC that can be disregarded entity for tax purposes. It could be structured, it could have an election to be an S corp. That doesn't matter. If it's an LLC with one owner, under state law, if you're personally sued, so let's say I own 100% of a Florida LLC and I'm driving my car and I hit somebody and they sue me personally, the creditor can actually go into the LLC and take assets of my business, right? So there's none of that upstream liability protection where your business assets are separately protected from other business ventures you might have or personal liability that might be incurred just living out your daily life. So this is referred to as the charging order protection only issue. So when you have a multi-member LLC, if one of the owners is sued, the best the creditor can do is a charging protection order only, right? So in effect, they can't take the LLC units, they can't go into the LLC, take the assets. The best they can do is place a lien on the LLC units of that owner that was sued personally, and any cash that's coming out. So if there's distributions coming out, the creditor basically garnishes that and they could take those funds. Now, in a single member LLC context, they can still get a charging order on those LLC units, but under Florida law, that's not their only remedy available, right? So they can actually go into the entity, take assets, take cash. So this is why single member LLCs are not ideal in Florida. Now, if you're listening to this and you're planning on setting up an LLC with a couple of other owners, so it's not going to be a single member LLC, then it's not going to be an issue. But a lot of entities are set up with just one owner, and this is a real issue for them. Now, the workaround, again, this kind of goes back to the anonymity thing. You can use an LLC outside the state to act as a holding company And in that state, they do provide that a charging order protection is the only remedy. The states that offer this protection under state statute are Alaska, South Dakota, Nevada, Delaware, and Wyoming, right? They've actually modified their state law to provide that even if you have a single member LLC, if you're sued personally and a creditor obtains a judgment, the best they can do is a charging order protection on those units. They can't take the entity from you. They can't go in and take the assets from you, so you're protected. So what a lot of people do, and what I do for a lot of my clients here in Florida, is we go ahead and set up that Florida entity, but on top of the Florida entity, we put a Wyoming entity or a Delaware entity, and then the individual in turn owns 100% of those units. And so that little buffer there, that additional entity in the middle, helps provide you that upstream liability protection. So those are the big reasons why, really just two reasons. Florida, again, is a great state to do business. There's no income tax here. There is income tax assessed on corporations if you earn over a certain amount, but for pass-through entities that are just doing business in the state, individuals doing business in the state, there's no income tax. So certainly a great place to do business, but for these reasons, be a little careful with the Florida entity. Depending on your circumstances, you might want to utilize, like I said, a tiered structure where you have another entity in between yourself and your Florida business to provide you some privacy protection and a little more liability protection. So that covers it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment on the video. And of course, I always appreciate if you can give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.